Well, these dusty roads all lead up a hill. Gonna find a quiet place to just stand still, to learn about that narrow way. Let it guide the words I pray. Yeah, let it light my way.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed our little country and western jingle that we got together for this podcast series. My name is Phil. I am the rector of Draycott and Valley Benefice, and this is a podcast that we created for the summer where myself and the rest of the ministry team are having a little look at the Sermon on the Mount and seeing what it says to us. So we're going to begin just by going around the room and seeing who else is here with me.
I'm Karen.
I'm Barbara.
The three of us are in part 3 of our exploration. We're still in Matthew chapter 5, and this time we're looking at verses 13 to 16. Barbara's going to read the passage for us, and quite early on we're going to get into a conversation of comparing different translations. So just for your information, Barbara is reading the New Light translation, and Karen and I are both reading the old NIV translation.
Do not think I have come to get rid of what is written in the law or in the prophets. I have not come to do that. Instead, I have come to give you full meaning to what is written. What I'm about to tell you is true. Heaven and earth will disappear before the smallest letter disappears from the law. Not even the smallest stroke of a pen will disappear from the law until everything is completed. Do not break even one of the least of the important commandments, and do not teach others to break them. If you do, you will be called the least important person in the kingdom of heaven. Instead, practice and teach those commandments, then you will be important in the kingdom of heaven. Here is what I tell you. You must be more godly than the Pharisees and teachers of the law. If you are not, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven.
What jumps out from there?
The first verse in your version was different, because in mine it says, I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them.
Oh, right.
And your version is slightly different,
I
isn't
have
it?
not come to do that. Instead, I have come to give full meaning to what is written.
That doesn't sound the same to me.
It doesn't, does it? But then,
In your version, it sounds like he's come to explain them,
yeah,
whereas in this version, it's he's come to actually be them more, isn't it? To fulfill what's been written before.
well, the heading is Jesus gives full meaning to the law.
It says the fulfillment of the law in mine.
Yeah, well, that's the title to the section.
Remind me, Barbara, did your translation say the law and the prophets, or just the law?
Get rid of what is written in the law or in the prophets. Yeah.
I think they're quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Give full meaning. For fulfillment suggests they were partial and now they're complete.
Mm.
Whereas give full meaning suggests they were already complete, but he's come to unpack, to explain them.
Yeah. What does your version say? Is it the same
I
as
think
mine?
it's the same as yours. Do not think I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. They've not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them.
Yes, that's the same as mine.
I think both can be true, can't they?
Yes.
Don't know which is the more. Imagine fulfill is the more accurate version, kind of to the original Greek, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember any Greek off the top of my head. But the app that I use to pretend I can remember some Greek is on my phone, which is recording us now, so I can't check that. But I think this is the standard NIV that you and I have got, and this is the Reader's version.
New Light Bible.
So I think ours will be more kind of looking for more literal translation, whereas Barbara's will be a more trying to unpack the meanings. There's a bit more interpretation going on.
Yes.
in Barbara's translation, I think.
Well, I think the opening statement, do not think I've come to get rid of what is written in the law or the
Yes.
prophets.
That's
So he's setting his stall out there.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, and that's the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, for me, I think the fulfillment is actually the law and the prophets point to Jesus. So it's like, from a law perspective, if you look at the sort of the ceremonies they had, when they were with the scapegoat and the sacrificing a lamb, they're all foreshadowing what Jesus is going to do. And then you've got the
Exactly.
prophets that are saying, yeah, we've got all ones we read at Christmas, haven't you, of the King be born. Then you've got Isaiah with the suffering servant, and the prophets are saying he's going to come, and so they are pointing to him, and he's fulfilling them.
But as you say, he's also explaining a lot of things, isn't he?
Because basically he's explaining
Yeah.
the law. If you think about why have they been sacrificing lambs for the last
Yeah.
1,000
Yeah.
years, actually he's going to explain that when he is the ultimate lamb on the cross.
Yes.
I've come to give full meaning to what is written. Heaven and earth will disappear before the smallest letter disappears from the law. Not even the smallest stroke of a pen will disappear from the law until everything is completed.
Our word is accomplished.
Yeah.
That means the same thing.
And it goes on to say, do not break even one of the least important commandments. Well, they're all important, aren't they? Can't really grade them.
Yeah.
The thing that really interested me from the bit we've got to is verse 19. Anyone who breaks one of these things and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Which I find in quite stark contrast to the salt we were talking about
Yes.
last time out. Because actually the salt was like, you're useless, you're out. Whereas this is, you on the back seat. They're not excluded from the kingdom of heaven. They're just going to be at the back of it. Whereas those that follow them are going to be on the front row. So it feels more inclusive than other parts of the...
Yeah.
And he pretty quickly makes himself unpopular, doesn't he? Because he says that that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. By definition, the Pharisees and the Sadducees are not going to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yes, because they have to exceed their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just gives some hope, because he says, instead, practice and teach those commandments. Then you will be called important in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
So he's telling them to teach everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if it's tough.
There's actually quite a lot in there, isn't there?
There's
It's just 3 verses, but
Yeah.
there's a lot to unravel, isn't there?
saying again, you must be more godly than the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. So it's, all the things that Jesus did that were against the law, like by rubbing barley first fingers on a Sunday or a Friday, and that sort of thing, and then getting caught up for it. It's just as if he's giving them permission sometimes to break the law, but practice and teach the commandments that I've given you.
Well, I think it's linked to that beatitude we looked at the other time about blessed the pure in heart, because actually the law, as written in the Old Testament, is about being pure in heart. Because I think there's a distinction between the law and the rules that actually nowhere in the Old Testament does it say you are not allowed to touch barley on the Sabbath.
Exactly.
The Pharisees found do not work on the Sabbath, and then came up with a long list of rules of what they felt working on the Sabbath was. So maybe what Jesus is saying is, I'm not here to change the rule about don't work on the Sabbath, but actually it's about aligning your heart with God so that you know with integrity what working on the Sabbath actually means, rather than a list of external ideas that you've not thought about yourself and have allowed the Pharisees to come up with for you.
Yeah.
I think it's important to distinguish between the law and the rules.
And the commandments.
That's right, because some people would look at the rules, and if you read in the Old Testament and think that's what we should be doing, and they kind of forget about the law and the commandments, which are even more important.
Because he finishes by saying, you must be more godly than the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. So whatever you do, it must be done with God's love
Yeah.
and not necessarily according to the letter of the law. Because the other time, or one of the many times he broke the rules, was that the woman with the water at the well,
Yes.
when he drew the water for her, when he shouldn't have done it because she was a woman of bad reputation, shall we say.
And a Samaritan.
And a Samaritan, yeah. But he still broke the law.
He broke the rules, not the laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Feeling awkward because I've got quite a good example in my head, but I don't know if I'm brave enough to.
Go on.
In the news at the moment, there's quite a lot about political donations and the rules surrounding what you do and don't declare and who you take donations from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Without getting too political, maybe there is something in that of actually what's the point of these rules is transparency. The point of the rules is to be open and not be bribable, is the whole point of these rules. And we seem to slip into this big legalistic, I don't have to declare that, I have to declare that. But actually the whole point is we declare so that we're transparent. And actually it's not about the letter of of being legalistic about it. It's about actually the point is to be transparent.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to be honest,
that's a good point.
And I will say nothing else political.
But sometimes we can get a bit tied up with too many rules and regulations in the churches, can't we?
Oh, can't we?
And people just get so hung up about the minutest little thing that they feel should be done absolutely correctly.
Yes.
In a service, and if we deviate from that, we are down as somebody who are deviating from the God's love. Well, God's love isn't like that.
Exactly.
I don't think God particularly minds what colour frontals we have on our altars at a particular time. But some people do, because that is what's written in the lectionary.
But God looks at what's in the heart, doesn't he? And
But I suppose it's interesting, and the fact that we're having these same conversations 2,000 years ago in Jesus' time, I think it's a natural human cycle that we go through, is we have sort of faith and God and everything, and it's all quite pure and we just do it. But then over time, we come up with rules that go around it. And clearly they'd had all that time since Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy to come up with all this. And then we get the early church, and they start afresh, and you have this time, and then we get to the Reformation where they come up with loads of other rules, and we start again at the Reformation, and then now 500 years after the Reformation, we found a load of new rules that we added in. So I think it's a natural human cycle that we go through.
But some rules are more apt than others. I mean, if you look at, dare I say, the churchyard regulations, faculties for moving a chair in the church.
yes,
I mean, some of those are rules and regulations which we could honestly do without.
definitely.
Because if we're sent to bring God's love to people and they want to donate, say, a bench in a churchyard, and they have to go through no end of hoops to get that passed, what's that saying about God's love?
Exactly.
And then more rules and regulations.
I know that's so personal, isn't it? When you read it in this context, that
Exactly.
actually you've got Jesus, who is God, and he's saying this because the man-made rules are obscuring who he is to the people around him. And actually, I think there's a real danger that our rules and our ideas actually obscure God from the
Definitely.
people that can't see.
Yeah.
Maybe that is going back to last time. Maybe that is salt losing its salt, and that's actually we've
Yeah.
stopped being distinctively Christian and started becoming almost like tax inspectors.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, some things clearly have to be really well put into the law and rules of what we do, like safeguarding.
yeah.
And then, about legally marrying people as well. We have to tick every single box.
Which is why he says I'm not here to abolish the law, because actually the original rules were
Good.
rules.
Yeah.
Yes.
I suppose that's what you said in before. It's manipulating the rules where the problems come.
Yeah. Yes.
And making them bend to your own advantage.
Yeah. And I think that's why he talks about your righteousness exceeding that of the Pharisees. Because the example he gives, I think it's later on in this, or it might be somewhere else, where he talks about, well, you've got to give 10% of your income, and you've got to look after your parents, but you're keeping both those rules by giving 10% of your income to your parents. And it's kind of like actually,
Yeah.
you're following the letter of the law, but you've completely missed the point, and you're using it as a dodge.
Most important thing is, do we obey the rules and the laws to make to help people grow closer to God? Because when you think about the rigorous discernment and training that we've all had to go through, if we didn't have those rules and regulations, we'd literally be loose cannons just going off and doing anything. And some of the people that you see sometimes evangelizing that we see on the television, not necessarily from this country, you can see that they're coming from a particular viewpoint
Yes.
and not necessarily had the breadth of training
Yes.
and guidelines that we've been given. And I think that's what makes the Church of England more trusted in some places, because they know that we ought to have been
Yes.
trained correctly.
And hopefully a big part of that training was learning why the rules are there.
Yes.
So I think it's much easier to follow a rule if you understand why it's there, because then you can understand the spirit behind it. So personally, theologically, I can't see any reason why you have to be ordained to preside at the Eucharist, because I believe in the priesthood of all believers. But I do understand, as someone that's gone through the discernment process in the Church of England, that the person standing at the altar taking communion needs to be someone who is doing that with the authority of the church that they represent. So actually, we follow the rules, we go through the process, and that is the way of ensuring that anybody that takes communion at a Church of England church is someone that has been appropriately trained, and you can trust to have had this training, and they can speak for the church because they've been through the process. So whilst theologically
Yes.
I have some slightly non-conformist leanings, I am a priest of the Church of England because I believe in the structures that put it together. So I follow that rule because I understand why it's there. I follow all the rules for the same reason. Just as I
That's a good thing for a rector to say.
just as an aside, I follow all rules at all times and in all places. And there's something about obedience, isn't there, as well, that actually, I was saying I have some slightly non-conformist tendencies.
Good.
But actually I signed up to be in the Church of England, and I've been through that system, and I am a vicar in the Church of England. So need to follow the rules of the Church of England because that's where I've thrown my lot in with.
Yeah.
Maybe the thought to sort of end on is ultimately we are accountable for our actions, but actually, ultimately, who are we accountable to? And actually,
If being accountable to God is more important than anything else.
It is.
there's actually what would God say of this decision
Exactly.
I've made?
You remember all those bracelets we used to wear? What would Jesus do?
Jesus do, yeah.
I still think that. Yeah. What would Jesus do?
Well, these dusty roads all lead up a hill. Gonna find a quiet place to just stand still, to learn about that narrow way. Let it guide the words I pray. Yeah, let it light my way.